Hi, this is Mark Birch with a quick revision of John Donne's selected poems. So here we're going to be taking a look at a valediction forbidding mourning, one of the valediction poems, which are poems essentially associated with farewells. And Isaac Walton claimed that the poem was written to Anne More in 1611, before Donne's trip to the continent with Sir Robert Drury. So let's take a look at the poem itself. As virtuous men pass mildly away, and whisper to their souls to go, whilst some of their sad friends do say the breath goes now, and some say no. So let us melt and make no noise, no tear floods nor sigh tempests move, to a profanation of our joys to tell the laity our love. Moving of the earth brings harms and fears, men reckon what it did and meant, but trepidation of the spheres, though greater far, is innocent. Dull sublunary lovers' love, whose soul is sense, cannot admit absence, because it doth remove those things which elemented it. But we, by a love so much refined that ourselves know not what it is, into assured of the mind, care less eyes, lips, and hands to miss. Our two souls, therefore, which are one, though I must go, endure not yet a breach, but an expansion, like gold to airy thinness beat. If they be two, they are two so as stiff twin compasses are two. Thy soul, a fixed foot, makes no show to move, but doth if the other do. And though it in the centre sit, yet when the other far doth roam, it leans and hearkens after it, and grows erect as that comes home. Such wilt thou be to me, who must like the other foot obliquely run. Thy firmness makes my circle just, and makes me end where I begun. So let's take a look at the significance of the title. First of all, the word forbidding is a powerful verb that suggests the authority of the poetic voice. Mourning will not be allowed, and the poem explores why this is the case. Mourning's an extreme emotion associated with death and profound loss. Its use conveys the depth of feeling within the relationship. Separation doesn't only create tears and sadness, but the kind of emotional reaction associated with death. The poem functions essentially as a reassurance that the departure will not affect their love. So Donne begins the poem with this extended simile that extends across two stanzas. He compares the way that virtuous men die with the way that lovers should leave each other. Virtuous men who have a guilt-free conscience are thought to die peacefully because they know that eternal bliss in heaven awaits them. Donne represents the friends of such dying men around the deathbed, unable to tell when the final breath has been taken because all is so peaceful. Hence, some say the breath goes now and some say no. The peacefulness of the image is conveyed phonologically through the use of the frequent sibilants. This could also represent the soft sound of the final breaths. The sense of peace is conveyed through the euphemistic pass rather than die, that Donne renders even more gentle by modifying it with the adverb mildly. And this is further complemented through the verb whisper with its denotation of a peaceful sound. The second stanza's so introduces the point of comparison. Donne's first stanza establishes the vehicle of the simile, while the second stanza introduces the tenor, the peaceful nature of the poetic voice's departure. The smooth transition between these modes of thoughts is conveyed by the rhyme established between the final word of the first stanza and the first of the second, no and so. It's also supported by the grammar. The first and second stanzas function as a single sentence, so that smooth transition replicates potentially the smooth and peaceful departures described. Just as the virtuous men depart silently, so, as the poetic voice leaves, they should be silent. Note that it's not an instruction for the woman to be silent, but for the pair of them, as revealed by the use of plural pronouns. They must melt, a verb that suggests a slow and almost imperceptible change. And also to melt was an Elizabethan idiom to mean to succumb to emotion. In this sense, the following clause is crucial, and make no noise. The emotion's inevitable, but they can control how it's exhibited. Melt also captures the image of falling liquid, metaphorically conveying the image of them crying. Donne rejects the Petrarchan convention of departure producing such excesses of emotion that the world could be damaged as a result. It's an image that Donne's used or mocked in a variety of poems: the canonization song Sweet is Love I Do Not Go, a valediction of weeping, a nocturnal upon St. Lucy's Day, and here it's wholly rejected as inappropriate. These excessive emotional responses are dismissed by referring to them as compound nouns. They're presented as so conventional that they're cliches, tear floods, sigh tempests. Donne's own frequent use of the imagery, as well as the Petrarchan model he exploits, ironically supports this claim. The couple's love is elevated to a religious status. As such, it would be sacrilegious, profanation, to allow ordinary people, the laity, to access their love. This would occur if they express their emotions too freely. The peaceful and calm nature of their love may be conveyed by the consonance of soft sounds in the concluding line, "Tell the laity our love." Donne adopts a cosmological argument to suggest the value of peace. He begins by suggesting that earthquakes, or moving of the earth, cause fear and make people consider their significance as a portent of other evils, in a similar way to the play Macbeth, where Lennox tells Macbeth, following Duncan's murder, that the earth was feverous and did shake. It's clearly an ill omen. However, in Ptolemaic cosmology, the movement of the spheres, or their trepidation, was silent, yet clearly it's on a far greater scale than any earthquake. It was innocent in that it was not felt on earth and caused no damage or portents of evil. The implication is that a peaceful expression of their love is more appropriate to love on the grand scale, and it avoids causing fear and damage to others. Therefore, none of them should cry. Again, Donne elevates the status of the lovers. Others are sublunary, literally below the moon. The fall was believed to have blighted the earth with sin, but heavenly bodies in the spheres beyond the earth were untarnished by this. Donne places the poetic voice and his lover in the realm beyond the earth, in a more spiritual and pure dimension. The awkward and debased love of the lesser lovers, those sublunary lovers, could be conveyed through the consonance of l that hampers the fluency of the line. Dull sublunary lovers love. It's awkward to read in the same way that they are awkward manifestations of love. The sublunary lovers have a love that's limited because its essence is in the senses. It's not a spiritual love like that shared by the poetic voice and his love, but one that's defined by the physical and the immediate. Such a love can't cope with separation because separation removes the cause of the love, the physical. The verb elemented complements the sense of these other lovers being shackled to the physical. Their love's based on physical elements rather than the spiritual. And both the words admit and absence appear oxymoronic, conveying how wrong such a superficial love is. Donne puns on admit, meaning to accept, and allow in. With the latter reading, the juxtaposition of absence, not being present, creates this oxymoronic tension. Donne uses an alchemical reference in the use of the word refined. To refine is to distill to the point of purity, and their love is so pure that even they cannot understand it fully. Interassured implies that they know each other perfectly and as such care less about the physical aspects of love like eyes, lips and hands. The physical is still important to them, as evidenced in the way Donne lingers over the body parts before concluding with miss. However, they care less than others for these things, and consequently they can withstand physical separation. Donne employs a typically metaphysical paradox in claiming that their two souls are one. This seems to draw upon the interassured nature of their minds. They're inextricably linked on a spiritual level. As such, physical separation doesn't create a break or a breach, but an expansion, like Stretch Armstrong, as their joint soul stretches across the physical gap. The stanza's concluding simile conveys the value of their love, given the connotations of gold. Their souls are presented as stretched to the point that they're of the airy thinness of gold leaf. And Donne concludes the poem with one of the most daring and effective metaphysical conceits of his canon. He claims that if their souls are still to be regarded as two, they are two in the sense that the legs of a compass are two. The legs are distinct, but they form a singular whole. One of the purposes of a nautical compass was to map a course in navigation, rendering the conceit particularly apt for a description of their soul's connection within the context of Donne's imminent departure for a sea voyage. Donne conveys the sense of duality through the repetition of two in the first line, and that's complemented as well by the syntactic parallelism of the line, if they be two, they are two. The duality is reinforced once again through the repetition of a form of the verb to do, doth and do. Donne uses the hinge of the compass to represent the union provided by the love shared between these souls. They're so closely bound that the legs of the compass are stiff. This also may suggest the poetic voice's reluctance to leave. It's an effort. The woman's soul represents the fixed foot that holds its position, only moving in terms of reaching towards the other leg if it moves. The image of that fixed foot works perfectly for capturing the woman who will be left behind as the poetic voice departs on his journey. The position of the fixed foot in the centre suggests that a circle is being drawn by the compass, but centre also suggests the focal point of attention. The poetic voice's wife is his centre, a concept that might remind us of the circular imagery in Love's Growth, which were all concentric unto thee. It leans and hearkens after it, conveys a sense of yearning and loss, but as Donne points out in the final stanza, it's crucial that the woman's resolve remains firm and that she waits, steadfast, for his return. Given Donne's frequent use of sexual innuendo, it's easy to read grows erect when that comes home as an allusion to a physical erection. However, this doesn't seem to work in this context, primarily because that which grows erect is the soul of the woman. The physicality also seems inappropriate within the context of this image of the union of the souls. It seems far more appropriate, therefore, to read grows erect as a reference to the woman's pride upon her husband's return. The poetic voice may be implying that she should also be proud of the part she's played in the return, remaining steadfast. Donne concludes by making explicit the need for the woman to remain steadfast. She is the centering foot that's the subject of the penultimate stanza. Such refers back to that. The poetic voice is compared to the other foot that must obliquely run. He'll be travelling away from the woman, but her resolve or firmness will allow him to travel in a circle, returning to his starting point, just as the fixed foot of a compass allows the other foot to travel back to its initial position, as long as it remains firm. So let's conclude with a quick look at the structure. In terms of the stanzas, we've got 9 quatrains with an A-B rhyme scheme and a metre of iambic tetrameter. Regularity dominates this, and Donne wants to convey the significance of regularity, steadfastness, resolve, because that's what binds their souls together. That's what means that this departure doesn't require a massive outpouring of grief. There is no need for a valediction of mourning because mourning is unnecessary. Okay, thanks ever so much, folks. Take care. Ta.